Welcome back to my channel. In the past 5 years that I have practiced the ketogenic diet, I've had no problem buying an off-the-shelf dressing. Although I know some people have issue with that, for the past 5 years, it has not been an issue for me. Now that doesn't mean that I can't do better, and that's exactly why I made my new mayo. And from that mayo, this recipe was born. Now this recipe has a secret ingredient that I'll get to. With that, let's go ahead and mix up this low-carb, delicious ranch dressing. Now you're going to need 2 containers, and these mason jars work perfect for me. Another thing you want is to make sure your immersion blender fits in it nice and snug. Now in your first glass, you want to add 1 ounce cream cheese, and I prefer Philadelphia. Next, you're going to need sour cream. We're going to be adding 2 tablespoons sour cream, and I like to use my spatula to help level it off like this so that I get a good 2 tablespoon measurement every time. Now add 2 tablespoons cold water to your glass. Now concealed in my hand is a secret ingredient, and I'll be revealing it a little later in the video. Now I recommend starting with a 1/4 teaspoon at first and then dialing it in to your taste. Now take your immersion blender and get this mixed up. Now guys, one of the snags I ran into while doing this is the cream cheese did like to stick to the bottom of the glass. You want to go ahead and start on a low speed if you have an adjustable immersion blender. Now here's a tip when removing it to check for clumps. Use the lid of your sour cream so that you don't get anything on your counter. And as you can see here, I have cream cheese stuck to the bottom. And what a blessing for the video. It didn't chop up hardly any of it. I had to do it manually, so you see here, I'm going ahead and cutting it into small pieces, getting it mixed up a bit so that the immersion blender can do its job. Now here's another tip I like to use whenever using my immersion blender. Keeping a warm container of water nearby will allow you to rinse your immersion blender quickly. Now in a second container, you're going to add 2 tablespoons cold water, then 2/3 cup of your favorite oil. As you can see here, I'm using avocado oil because of its neutral taste. Last, we're going to be adding egg white protein powder. Add 1 tablespoon egg white powder, trying to keep it centered like this. Now while placing the immersion blender down, try to capture the egg white powder. The goal here is to trap the egg white powder, pushing it all the way to the base of the jar. Now as it starts to emulsify, don't be surprised when it's much thinner than the emulsification process in mayo. This is perfectly normal at this point, but you will see the magic happen soon. Now it's time to add our first mixture into this mixture. Once they're both combined, it's time to get back out that immersion blender and get to mixing this. Now guys, when you're mixing this, as you see, it's pretty thin. Have patience. You're gonna see right here. Look at what happens. Here comes the magic. Look at how thick this just got. Once you've got your mixing head cleaned off, you're gonna go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of cold water. Now you wanna go ahead and continue to mix this, and once you've mixed it, add additional teaspoons of water. Do this until you reach the desired consistency. As you see here, I like it with 2 teaspoons of water. Now make sure to get all that goodness off the mixing head, and it's time for the dry ingredients. Now my chives are rather coarse here, and you do not want that or they will be overpowering. But I usually use these in my cream cheese and chive. Now just a couple bursts in your coffee grinder will make quick work of these. Now I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of those chives I just chopped up. Next, you're going to need garlic powder, and in recipes like this, it's pretty important that you don't use a coarse garlic such as this. You want a more fine garlic, more of a gourmet or high quality garlic like this one. You're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder. Next, you'll need onion powder, and yes, this is minced onion, but I find the taste is so much better when I grind it myself. Now go ahead and add 1/2 teaspoon onion powder. Then 1/2 teaspoon dried parsley. And last, you're going to add 1/2 teaspoon dill weed. Now you want to go ahead and mix these ingredients thoroughly, place it in the refrigerator, and for best results, wait for the next day. So now you may be wondering what that secret ingredient was, and here it is. Twang. Now you could pick this up at your local Walmart. It's not going to look like this. It will come in a beer salt container like this. They are the same. And if you like this video, I'm sure you'll like these too. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.